I'm Maisie Scalise, and we're going to talk about Kelly Reichardt. It only took watching 3 films for Kelly Reichardt to become one of my favorite directors of all time, and it's probably not for the reasons you would expect. If you're used to watching movies with clear plots, big emotional arcs, and satisfying, perfectly wrapped up endings, Kelly Reichardt might not be for you. Her films have no impassioned monologues or soaring musical scores or quick cuts, and her films often feel like they end mid-thought. They deny us clarity, but somehow they stay with you long after you've watched them. Reichardt's unconventional style, her slow pacing, minimal dialogue, and attention to composition and sound design, all of this works together to create this kind of emotional realism. Before her career in independent filmmaking, Reichardt studied fine art at the School of the Museum of Fine Arts in Boston. And once I knew that, her distinct style made perfect sense to me. Her images are incredibly thoughtful. She utilizes the rule of thirds constantly. No, seriously, it's crazy. Always rule of thirds. And it's not just a compositional or stylistic choice, it's about positioning, using the frame to communicate a character's feelings. Journalist for the New York Times, Alice Gregory, says that Reichardt has made a career of silence and suggestion. She casts an unobtrusive but attentive gaze on people who can never quite seem to win. And I think this is clear in the way that she approaches placing characters in the frame. They're often placed at the edge, visually reinforcing the way that they feel, a little bit lost and a little bit different. In an interview for Locarno Film Festival, Kelly Reichardt said that she likes figuring out how people move through the frame to get across meaning without dialogue. In her films, silence isn't just a placeholder between dialogue. It often says just as much as words do. The first film I watched was Old Joy. It's about 2 old friends trying to rekindle their friendship on a camping trip in Oregon. That's it. There's no huge confession or fight, there's no dramatic reunion, just 2 friends who used to be closer trying to find the rhythm again. I think Fusco and Seymour sum up the crux of this film the best. They said, as the pair fall into increasingly strained conversations about their respective life choices and contributions to society, Kurt and Mark lose their literal and metaphorical way, and their sense of whatever once bonded them together. The next film I watched was Wendy and Lucy. Wendy is a young girl living out of her car, trying to get to Alaska for work. Then her car breaks down, her dog goes missing, she gets arrested. It feels like literally nothing can go right for her. Seriously, this poor girl cannot catch a break. The people Wendy interacts with, they're not mean or kind, they're just indifferent. In this sense, it feels like real life, like the kind of quiet struggle that you don't often see in movies. In her essay Vernacular Landscapes, Chavez makes note of Kelly's commitment to realism. She says, her characters are quite unlike the typical protagonist of Hollywood cinema, who exert agency and mastery in their lives. Instead, Reichardt's protagonists seem lost in their surroundings, lacking mobility due to financial instability or other misfortunes, and facing their choices that eclipse their ability to reason a way out. I think Wendy and Lucy serves as the best example of this. You never feel like you're trying to be convinced that Wendy is special or some kind of hero. The final scene of Wendy and Lucy is beautifully captured in an unconventional way that allows the audience to take it all in without any overt cinematic guidance. The camera stays still, there's no super close-up shot or dramatic music, it's just Wendy and Lucy saying goodbye. Reichardt's purposeful directional restraint in this scene makes the emotion hit so much harder. The last film I watched was First Cow, which brings all of Kelly Reichardt's style into a historical setting, but still feels grounded in the real world with emotions that are still relatable. The story is about Cookie, a soft-spoken cook, and King Lu, a Chinese immigrant who's on the run. They form this quiet, unlikely friendship, and they start baking oily cakes using stolen milk from a landowner's cow, hoping to make it rich. And what makes their bond so compelling isn't what they say to each other, it's how they move in tandem. They naturally start sharing tasks. They fall into this rhythm silently, but it feels like they've known each other forever. It's all very domestic in a really heartwarming way. The sound design and score of this film is crucial to its feeling. And Reichardt doesn't fill the space with dramatic music either. She leans on the natural sound of the environment. Their boots in the dirt, the wind in the trees, birds calling in the distance, the sound of a flowing stream. The sound design feels like part of the landscape, both physically and emotionally. Even the color palette, all muted browns, oranges, and greens, it grounds you in a world that feels worn in and real. And nothing is made into too big of a spectacle. When the story turns and they're on the run, Kelly Reichardt could have very easily shifted into thriller mode with quick cuts and shaky handheld shots to play up the anxiety of the scene, but she doesn't. She keeps the camera still, she stays with the characters, allowing you to observe their emotions and feel them for yourself. Even in the final scene, when Cookie and King Lou lie next to each other in the woods, nothing's explained, and it doesn't have to be. It's actually better that it's not. The way the scene is framed, combined with the serene sound design of the forest, you know exactly what happens. And that's what Kelly Reichardt does so well. She builds stories where emotion doesn't come from the big speeches or plot twists. It comes from accumulation, from the way things slowly change. Her films might not follow filmmaking conventions, but they create something so much richer, stories that feel lived in, real, and are unforgettable. Watching these 3 films has only made me wish I discovered Kelly Reichardt sooner.